Hi, I'm Kai Tong, and this is my emath2 assignment. So I've selected an article that claims the average one-way commute time for Singapore residents is 45 minutes, and you can click this link here for my article. So for my null hypothesis, which is the population mean of one-way commute time for Singapore residents is 45 minutes, and my alternative hypothesis is that the population mean of one-way commute time is not equals to 45 minutes, and this makes it a 2-2 test. So I have already conducted a Google survey that gives me a set of value, and I'll be using this set of value to prove my hypothesis. The population mean is 45 minutes, which is stated in the claim, and the significant level is 5%. So for my sample size, I use a formula of rows bracket A4 to A34, which is my set of values, and this formula will help me count my sample size, which is 31. And for my sample mean, I use the formula of average bracket A4 to A34 bracket, and it helps me to calculate the sample mean. For my sample standard deviation, I use the standard deviation dot S because it's a sample standard deviation bracket A4 to A34, my set of values bracket, and it gives me the standard deviation of 18.6008. So for my test that since the population standard deviation is not given, I cannot use the z-test, so I can only use the t-test. So for the test that I use the formula of equals bracket d10, which is my sample mean, minus d7, my population mean, bracket over bracket d11, which is my sample standard deviation, divided by square root of d9, which is my sample size. So moving on to my p-value, I use the formula of 2 times bracket 1 minus normal standard distribution bracket abs for absolute value as my t set value is a negative, so I would need to use the absolute value to get my p-value. So abs bracket d12 comma true bracket which gives me the p-value of 0.09871. And for my confidence level, it will be 1 minus my D8, which is my significance level, which give me 95%. In order to get my margin of error, I use the formula of equals to confidence test distribution bracket D8, which is my significance level, comma D11, which is my sample standard deviation, comma D9, which is my sample size. So from this set of data, I observed that my p-value of 0.09871 is more than the significant level of 5%, which is 0.05. So from this observation, I can conclude that I fail to reject the null hypothesis as I do not have enough evidence to prove that the average one-way commute time for Singapore residents is greater or less than 45 minutes. For my 95% confidence interval, I use D10 minus D15 sample mean minus the margin of error will give me the value of 32.661, which is my 95%. And for this, I use sample mean plus my margin of error, which will give me the value of 46.3067, and it is my 105%. Since my population mean lies in between a 95% confidence interval and 105%, it again proves that I have insufficient evidence to prove that the average one-way commute time for Singapore residents is greater or less than 45 minutes. Thank you.